very much, Sadie, for your pearls of wisdom and for sharing them with us. What I'm going to do now is actually ask Dr. Hediye Miramadi from the World Organization for Research, Development and Education to say a few words and actually introduce the speaker afterwards. Hediye.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sorry for my terrible Arabic. Thank you all for coming today. I am very, very honored to be in your presence, brothers and sisters, and Your Honorable Madam Secretary. Some of you may think it's strange that I'm doing the introductions, but I thought I would let you know how from across the ocean in America, how we perceive what you're doing here in England and in your work in particular. We are, as everyone has mentioned, it's a difficult time for Muslims everywhere in the world. And one thing that we've lamented for a very long time in the United States and elsewhere is the underrepresentation of Al-Sunnah Jama'ah, of the Sufis, of the Sunni majorities, of the Shia majorities, of the peace-loving, moderate, whatever word you want to call it, the other mainstream Muslims. And that we always feel that the religion and the voice of the Muslims is hijacked by the extremists or by those who choose to use Islam for political purposes. Well, I'd like you all to know that it is the Right Honorable Hazel Blears MP, you don't use the correct title, is my personal hero. And I'd like to tell you why. Because she has given at great personal and I believe personal and political risk to herself hope to the underrepresented Muslim community. She's created the contest of ideas and opened the public space to voices that were never heard in the past. And she set forth what seems to be commonsensical, but up until now has not been required, is establishing a set of shared values, Muslims and non-Muslims, and saying we all must agree on a certain set of principles. And if we're going to be strategic partners with one another, let's all agree on what those shared values are. And I'd like to commend you for your courage. I'd like to commend you for your conviction. And thank you especially for recently taking a very, very difficult stance against a group of Muslims in this country that have historically claimed to speak for all Muslims and who do not speak for all Muslims, and for having the courage to say that you expect everyone to commit to those shared values. And thank you. And thank you for your support for the Sufi Muslim Council. Thank you for the support of mainstream Muslims everywhere.
Well, thank you very much for that very unexpectedly warm and personal introduction. But if I'm honest, I would have expected nothing less from the Sufi Muslim Council. Many of you in this room I've got to know over the last couple of years, and for some of you I know you really quite well now. I'm particularly looking at some of the women who are involved with my Muslim Women's Advisory Group, and in that time that I've got to know you and that we've built a relationship, I think that relationship is built on mutual respect. It's built on the ability to say sometimes very difficult things, some things which challenge government, but I can honestly say to all of you that I have personally received so much support and genuine sharing of the aims that we all want to achieve through the relationships that I've built over the last couple of years. So it is genuinely a delight for me to be here. It is a momentous day for our country, having the President of the United States here with his lovely wife, and also having leaders of countries from North America, South America, Europe, Australia. Yesterday I was with the Prime Minister and with Kevin Rudd, the Prime Minister of Australia, in St. Paul's, when we talked very much about shared values. What has this economic crisis taught us all about reevaluating the things that are important to us in terms of going forward as a country? And I found that personally a very uplifting experience, and there were people represented from every single faith background Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs, Jewish people, people from all the Christian denominations. And in St Paul's yesterday, there was a real sense that people can come together and unite around the things that bring us together, and not around the things that divide us. And I'm absolutely convinced, and just looking now, here's my very, very good friend, the Home Secretary, coming to join us. I was just saying, Jackie, there's so much more that unites us than divides us, and in this room today we can feel exactly that. That's fine. I'm just going to wait for the bells to go. Fine. Now, I know that, I feel very honoured to be in the presence of Sheikh Kobani today, but I also know that Sheikh Siddiqui from Birmingham was going to join us, but unfortunately isn't able to be here, I think, and he's got ill health. But I just wanted to say a couple of words about the work that he's been doing for a long, long time now, trying to spread the message of peace and tolerance, and that he's now embarked, I'm told, on a personal mission to empower Muslim women as leaders of the future, which I think is very exciting indeed. And he's going to be holding some women's events over the next few months, and I've committed already to go along to one of those events and be part of that, which I'm looking forward to enormously. But obviously, Sheikh Kobani is with us here today, and this is maybe the second or third occasion in which we've been together. Third one, I think, and it's always been very, very special to me. We met in Birmingham just after the Glasgow airport attacks, and I could tell then that you not only have a reputation of being strong and steadfast and firm, but actually that shines out from you in all of the personal things that you do. And sometimes when you meet people, it's a matter of form, and you get a long biography about people, and the papers tell you all kinds of things in your briefing. And sometimes when you meet people, they don't always live up to the things that are said in your paperwork. And I can tell you that Sheikh Kobani, you not only live up to it, you supersede and transcend anything that could be in my briefing. And I think that you are a very, very special person indeed. Now, this is a really special time, obviously, the birthday of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and it's special for people right across the world, from Beira to Baghdad and from Damascus to Dudley, here in Britain. And last year I was lucky enough to visit Pakistan, India and Bangladesh. I visited Sufi seminaries and shrines. And what I was really struck by was how the Sufi values of peace and tolerance are in fact those universal values which unite us, whichever country we come from and whatever our background. But I was also struck to discover that significant parts of the Sikh holy book actually consist of teachings from Sufi sheikhs. And when I visited the shrine in the old part of Delhi, which belonged to Sheikh Nizamuddin, I actually saw, sitting side by side praying, Muslims, Hindus and Sikh people all praying for that message of peace and tolerance, and that was a wonderful thing for me to see there. And since the Sufi Muslim Council was formed just a few years ago, quite a new organisation, you've made a huge contribution. You talked about my conviction and my willingness to stand up and be counted. Well, there are many, many people in this room who've done exactly that, and in some cases at greater personal cost and greater bravery. So I think it's really good that we're here together today. I want to personally thank Harris Rafiq for being one of those people who's travelled this path for some considerable time now and has made a huge contribution, but also Imam Irfan Chisti, who again is one of the people that I've got to know on a personal basis, very brave, but also a man of great humour. And I think sometimes when we're dealing with difficult issues that are very complex and very complicated, the ability just occasionally to have a bit of a sense of humour and a sense of perspective helps us all get through what can be very difficult times. And I'm always grateful to him. And I was delighted when Irfan got his MBE in the honours list very recently. Now, I just want to finish really by sharing a story that I was told in Pakistan when I went to the seminary, and it was about a Sufi master. And it was the story about a student who presented a pair of scissors as a gift to the Sufi master. And the master thanked him for the scissors, but suggested that next time he should bring a needle and thread, because he saw his role not as scissors cutting people apart, but as a needle and thread, drawing people and bringing them together and creating a tapestry and a picture out of the whole. And that has stayed with me, and it's something that I think if we are going to talk about shared values, it is things like that, a willingness to be tolerant, to understand, and at every possible opportunity we have in our lives, not to drive people apart, but to bring people together. That's exactly what the Sufi Muslim Council does, and I am privileged to be here with you today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hazel, for those very kind words and for attending and speaking today. I think it's your presence here and your support has always been valued by us all. What I'd like to do